Welcome to the CLT I.B Podcast. I am Slyker.
I am Brian Garbage.
And today we are talking about, for episode 2 of our podcast, is DLC, bonuses, add-ons, and extra stuff and upgrades. So let's just get right into it with that. So, we know within the gaming community, when video games come out, they decide to do add-ons as extra stuff for people who like that sort of thing. But I feel like, personally, with that whole thing alone, it is basically, I just don't feel like it's worth it after you spend $70 to $80 on a video game, and then spending $2 to $3 on add-ons. Now, it depends on how many add-ons there are within the numbers of the math, but with that, you know, sometimes it can go down to $1.29 or 99 cents for add-ons if add-ons go on sale with connecting with the game going on sale. So, me and Brian's problem is with it. We feel like both together, we've talked about this last night before we decided to shoot today's podcast for episode 2, is there are too many add-ons for games, and there's way too much. Like, let's say, for example, Battlefield Hardline or Far Cry 6. There's about 46 add-ons alone for Far Cry 6 and about 20 for Battlefield Hardline. And yes, the add-ons are like costume skins, weapons, other stuff, collector stuff, whatever.
Game currency,
stuff like that. But at the same time, it feels like it's after you buy an $80 game and you spend the money on the add-ons, that's going up with the $80 price tag of the game. So not only you're buying the game, but you are buying the add-ons, which is getting it more expensive for you to pay for if you put the math together after you bought the game and bought the add-ons. I feel like, personally, the add-ons are just not worth it because the add-ons don't really do anything. They're just small parts that just add on to the game or extend the game.
Because you can like buy the weapons if you have enough currency for it.
Yeah. If you have enough currency for it, you can buy.
Because currency costs money as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's y'all choice. If y'all want to buy the different types of edition cost more money, alright ahead. If not, you can buy the currency and then just buy the weapons, or just grind the game.
Yeah, and that's another thing. That's another thing too. It's that there's too much with that, where there's deluxe editions, legendary editions, and of course the regular edition, and so with that whole thing. So, where are we at on it? Basically where we're at on it now with video games. Again, like, I feel like with it, it's just too much. And I think it goes overboard. Sometimes it kind of goes too far with add-ons because realistically you don't need the add-ons. If you want to buy them, go ahead. But realistically, if you think about it, do you really need the add-ons? Is that something you really want to spend your money on? Or do you want to save your money on something like when games come out and they drop statues or drop figures that goes with the game? Would you rather spend the money on that or spend the money on add-ons and extra stuff? That's kind of where it's at the moment.
Because video games, they have a lot of collector's edition. They come with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, you look at, let's say, for like The Witcher and stuff. Back then, for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, you could get that game and get the statue with it. Which, of course, GameStop would sell the statues that was part of the collector's edition. Yeah, it was more higher in price, but that was something, that was kind of like, okay, I get it, type of thing. So, again, I just feel like for me, when it comes to games, like, I like playing games, but I don't get the add-ons unless it's something that it's useful in the game and it's reliable and I can trust it and it helps me in the game to move forward. and get more far into the game. But it seems like a lot of these add-ons and extra stuff is not that. And he was saying this yesterday before, when we were talking about for today's podcast. He was like, well, Far Cry 6 is for add-ons and that. Again, keep in mind there's 46 add-ons for this game, which is way too damn much. For that alone, most of them are just guns, which again, you're already going to be picking up guns as it is in Far Cry, and that's going to get added to your gun collection or your list or whatever, or it says, hey, you unlocked this gun, or you unlocked that gun, or you unlocked every gun. It's like...
Yeah, it comes with guns and some kind of outfit and a horse.
And I feel like for me, with Far Cry 6 doing that, I feel like personally that you could buy guns add-ons, it's just cheating in a way, because it's like, well, what's the point? You're gonna be buying guns regardless of that. You're gonna be buying guns. So it's like, not buying guns, you're gonna be finding guns on the ground, finding guns and unlocking them and stuff. There's no point of you spending $1.29 to $3 on guns that you're already gonna find in the game itself. It's kind of like hit and miss. It's a 50-50 shot with it, Again, I think what they should do is just kind of stop with the add-ons and stuff. I get it, but at the same time, if you talk about this, for example, and this connects to DLC with GameStop. GameStop will do a thing where they will make it where if you basically say, they're like, hey, like you go buy a new game, walk in the store and say, hey, do y'all have this new game? And it's still in the wrap and the ceramic wrap and everything, clear ceramic wrap, ready to buy, ready for you to spend $70-$80 on it, take it home, play it, that. But GameStop will do a thing where they say, hey, we have that game used, and you'll save $5.
Yeah.
Okay? The number $5. But here's the issue with that. Then that's you becoming the problem. And here's why. Because if you do that, buy that used game, and not buy the new edition that's still in the clear ceramic wrap that you can spend $70-$80 on and, go home and play it. Alright? If you buy that game to save $5, those $5, that money you spent on the used game, even if it's new, and they say they have it used already, is that money's not even going to the publisher of the game. That's going to GameStop, and once it goes to GameStop, they keep that crap, and they don't care about what you think. They don't care about what your opinion is, or what you think of it, or, or where they don't, they don't care what you think of where the money's going towards GameStop, or what it's going for, or what they're going to use it for or need it for. But if you buy the game new in the ceramic wrap, and you spend $70-$80 on it, or you buy the deluxe, or the deluxe or legendary edition for like $90 to $101, right? That money is going to go to the publisher, and it's not going to go anywhere towards GameStop, which is a good thing. Then you're not the problem. You're not the issue. So it's that type of thing too. You got to think about. It's either you buy the game new, but it's used already, or you buy the game like new and stuff. So you kind of have to think that and keep your mind on that. But yeah, again, the DLC thing, I think they're just doing too much of. There's a lot of games that do few DLCs, doing like 6 and 10 DLCs, and then there's games that does a ton of DLCs, like Battlefield Hardline, like Far Cry, and stuff. And Batman did the same thing. Batman Arkham Knight did the same thing, where it was costume stuff, and you buy for $1.29 each within the PlayStation Store or the Xbox Store if you played on PC or Nintendo Switch, and you're doing the same thing. Spider-Man 1 on PS4, and then Spider-Man 2, and then Spider-Man Miles Morales on PS4. They didn't do that. basically. They did it where you found parts and hardware and this collective stuff, and you do side missions to find like collector stuff, and you get the suits unlocked. And it says craft suits by pressing X on the controller. And you craft a suit and you have the suit unlocked. And it would notify you, like, congratulations, you unlocked this suit. Now you can use and play with it. Throughout the game, throughout the story, and side missions, and little quests here and there. Where Batman wasn't like that. Batman was, you spend $1.29 on suits. That you can play through the story, do side missions, and quests, and do your little adventure journey stuff. Same thing with Spider-Man, but it was completely different, where you went around the city, New York, and around the Manhattan area, and Jersey, and Miles Morales' neighborhood, and all that stuff, and just got stuff for it. So I like that option a lot more with Spider-Man, where he did that more than what Batman did. Again, I think with what is going on with DLC, I mean, the latest DLC we've seen through the Game Awards last year was the DLC for Ragnarok Valhalla. And that was one DLC and one DLC only. It was a one-take, one-shot thing. One and done deal type of thing. Again, though, I do feel like that they should not always do DLC because it's not exactly worth the money. And for you to buy the regular game, deluxe edition, legendary, whatever, and you're spending $80, $90, or $101 on that. And then you're spending the add-ons, which is going up in price every time. Right? If it's $1.29, $3, you're spending more money on that, just alone.
It's the same thing for Forza as well.
Yeah, it is. It's
they want you to pay more money for
It's the same thing with Forza Horizon 4 or 5, where they are telling you, hey, yes, you can unlock cars by just playing the game by itself. No one-and-done thing or whatever. You can do that, which is cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But the add-on thing for that, again, is just kind of dumb. And it's like, and that's the same thing with the Hot Wheels game. They've done the same thing. Of course, they did it for their second game, because Hot Wheels has 2 games. So, again, the DLC and add-on thing, I don't think it's a problem exactly. If you want to spend the money on it, go ahead. Cool for you. You got the add-ons. Congrats. But if you just want to play the game by itself and not have the DLC, that's kind of the way to go. If you want to get the DLC later on after you beat the game or replayed the game so many times, then, cool. But don't just buy the game and then right after that, get the DLC as soon as you get the game done and installed and all that, because it's just not worth it. I would say wait later on, like me and Brian do, where you just kind of wait later on and beat the game and run through it, or speed run through the game, and then, or, replay multiple times, and then get the DLC stuff. Because later down the road, with DLC of where the gaming community is heading now, and what, authors, writers, developers, publishers, all that stuff, the DLC later on, within the future, is not going to matter. No one's going to care about it. Again, the DLC and add-ons and extra bonus and upgrade stuff is just little stuff. It's small parts. It's a minuscule part of the game. Sure, it extends the game by 2 seconds, 2 inches, whatever. It moves the game forward just a small, tiny little bit. Again, I don't think that stuff is worth it at the moment. It's just not worth the time to spend the money on it. Again, yes, is the add-ons cheap? Yeah, it's cheap. That's what it's supposed to be. It's meant for that. But at the same time, again, you spending $80, $90 to $101 on stuff and then getting add-ons right after you just bought the game, like fresh new bought game, go home, turn on your Xbox or Nintendo Switch or PlayStation or PC or whatever, and immediately download after. after you've done downloading the game and it's fully installed and it's fully ready to play, it's playable and all that stuff, and then saying, I'm going to go to the Microsoft store or the PlayStation store or the Nintendo store or the PC store or on Steam, and I'm going to buy all the add-ons. Just don't do that right now. Again, I'm not going to tell people what to do or bombard them, or make them mad, I don't want to tell them, hey, do this, hey, do that. I'm just kind of giving recommendations out and just kind of giving advice on it because, again, it's just where they do add-ons, it's just too much for that. And
it's too much money, and also it takes a lot of room.
It does. It takes a lot of room with
console.
gigabytes. That's the other thing you got to think about. It takes a lot of room with gigabytes. So, again, you got to think about that whole thing. But yeah, I mean, again, where DLC's heading today in the future of gaming and the gaming community and that whole world universe together is no one cares about. They don't. It's a small part of the game. It ain't worth it. Just play the game itself. You will get DLC later on. Like I said earlier, go right ahead. Just play the game first. Run through it. Speed run it. Play the story. Play the missions and side missions. Put time and data into that and grind on it and, see where it goes. But this is me and Brian talking about DLC thing, and we're going to sign off today for episode 2. Episode 3 will come out on Monday after the Fan Fest and the Xbox Direct thing and maybe Nintendo's thing. We're kind of waiting on that. We're going to sign out now. Later.